In this video, I'm going to tell you about one-page rules and why I like it. So I've mentioned this, well, it's a group, not just a game. It's a group of games, and it's a group of people and the whole thing. But I've mentioned one-page rules multiple times before here on the channel, in a bunch of different videos. But this time I really want people to find out about this group of games and what they're trying to do, and start to kind of mess around with them, because a lot of these most of these products are free, just right up front. So keep that in mind. And I'm hoping that people actually check them out and use them and kind of also support these folks. Now, this is not sponsored. I've not been paid to do this. As a matter of fact, I'm a Patreon supporter of One Page Rules. I'll get to that more in a little bit. Now, from what I remember, One Page Rules started out, well, kind of as it says on the tin, it was just one page, both sides of a piece of paper. It was a one-page rules system to allow you to use your Warhammer 40,000 models, but it was, simpler than 40K at the time. I think that started in 2014, and I'm trying to remember what was the system at 2014. It was probably 7th edition, so that's a bit telling, But it was a simpler system to use, and it was also free because it was just a double-sided PDF that you downloaded and printed if you wanted to, and went from there. Anyway, like I said, started in 2014 by Gaetano Ferreira, which I'm probably mispronouncing, and I apologize. And like I said, it's always been a PDF. They don't sell a printed book or printed anything, printed sheet or anything like that. And originally, when it was first launched, it was just called One Page 40K, which you can see why they may want to change that name down the road. But like I said, it was originally designed as a Warhammer 40,000 replacement. Everything, well, it wasn't like it was, distilled down. Like, they didn't take the 40K rules and distill it down. What they did instead was they kind of made their own rules, but still used it, or built it in a way so you could still use your 40K, models and things like that. And it was a 40K replacement. And then they also, as it got more popular, started to make an army scale fantasy game, and then also skirmish games for sci-fi and for fantasy as well. And then they kind of just started to go into a bunch of different directions, and they made some experimental games like Grimdark Racing and Deathball and Orion's Gate and War Stuff, which are still available on their website. Then in 2017, they did a bit of a rebrand and changed the overall group to one-page rules instead of one-page 40K, which, like I said, was going to make a lot of sense probably going forward. And then they rebranded the names of the games as well. So you've got Grimdark Future, which was the sci-fi kind of army game. You've got Age of Fantasy, which is the fantasy kind of army style game. There's Grimdark Future Firefight, which is the skirmish. There's Age of Fantasy Skirmish, and a bunch of other ones as well. And that's also when the Patreon started. And then they were able to start actually kind of getting some money together to make the art and the layout, pay people to be able to do that stuff. And the art and the layout really made a huge step forward, which was really nice to see. Now, again, though the rules for all the different games, they're still available for free as the one-page rules system, where again, it's one page each side, and you can still download that for all of their different games. They're known as the core rules. But there's also a longer, a little bit deeper, more free version as well, called the Basic Rule Book. And then now there's even a more deluxe version for each of the games that's available. That you generally kind of have to pay for or whatever. So for an example, my favorite is Grimdark Future Firefight. It's their skirmish game, sci-fi. Comes in a free core rules version, which is, again, one page, both sides. It comes in a free rulebook version, which is like 17 pages. And again, you can download that right off their website. And then there's a deluxe version, which is $4.99, and that's 32 pages. You can get that places like Wargame Vault. You can get it at a bunch of different places, but Wargame Vault's one of the big ones. And then you can pay $5 and get it there. However, if you support the Patreon, I'm pretty sure then you get access to the deluxe versions as part of that, payment, the monthly payment. There's 2 tiers to the Patreon. There's like a $5 and a $10. I'm a $5 supporter currently. But the $10 support adds something else besides access to all the games, plus also you have access to all the Army books and all that stuff that kind of relates to Games Workshop's type stuff. So you can look at it and go, okay, these are Battle Brothers. They mean Space Marines. Oh, those are Tau. And then, so you can use the models you already have and not have to reinvent the wheel. However, if you want to reinvent the wheel, Patreon supporters get access to basically like a force builder. And I'm not just talking about a list builder based off of their current stuff. I mean, actually like, I want my guys to be able to move this much and have a gun that does this much damage with this much range, and it will tell you this is how many points it would be. So if you wanted to not use one of their pre-gen army lists and make your own, you could do all that too, but that's, again, something that you get in the Patreon. And that's at the $5 level. The $10 level gives you all the $5 level stuff, plus also gives you access to the STLs. In 2020, they got into STLs in a big way for 3D printing, and that the $10 a month supporters get access to all the models every single month, from what I can tell. But if you don't want to support at that level, or if you just want to pick and choose, pretty much everything is also available on my mini factory if you want to go more a la carte. As I said, I'm currently a $5 supporter, and I get access to the features I talked about, but I'm thinking about going into the $10 as soon as I get my 3D printer all completely set up. Pachow. Now, I'm going to be completely upfront with you right away. I have not tried all of their different games because, like I said, they have a lot of different games. Obviously, there's sci-fi army scale, fantasy army scale, there's sci-fi skirmish scale, there's fantasy skirmish scale. There's a game that's basically kind of trying to fill the hole that Necromunda is also filling. And there's also even a space combat game called FTL, and then a bunch of other stuff as well. But the big main ones, which would be pretty much the 2 army games, the 2 skirmish games, FTL, and they call it Gang Fight, which is the more of a Necromunda-y type of game. Of all of those, the one that I have really played is Grimdark Future Firefight, which is the sci-fi skirmish one. I love skirmish games, and they're doing skirmish, in my opinion, in a much more streamlined way than the other big games out there, and I really kind of enjoy this system. They've got a really great kind of who goes first mechanic for each turn. First turn, you roll off to see who goes first, which is kind of standard in the industry, and then you are alternating your back and forth as far as each model that you have, because it's a skirmish game, you're not generally moving units. Now, there are certain figures that can move in units, like really like kind of swarm type figures, which is very different than a lot of skirmish games. Skirmish games very frequently are like everybody moves separately. In this, you can easily build a force that everybody moves separately, but you can also have some sort of more swarmish folks that move around together, and they've got the rules for that in there as well. But when it's time and everyone's activated and it's the next turn, you just look at who ended first last time, meaning who ran out of all their activations in the last turn, that person gets to go first in the next turn. So therefore, if you have fewer models, you get to activate earlier. But if, let's say, you had more models, but then eventually a bunch of them got killed, and then eventually you end up having fewer models than your opponent, you get that kind of leg up by getting to go first in the next turn, that kind of stuff. There's a very simple list of activations that covers pretty much everything that you're going to need. There's only 4 activations for each character. The stats on the characters themselves are super, super simple, and there's less bookkeeping and messing around with all that kind of stuff, and all of that comes to more fun and quicker games. All of that mixed with the, I think, really amazing business model that doesn't make it so that you're constantly having to upgrade and get new things and do all kinds of new stuff, and you can use the models that you already have from whatever company you're using, and you can also take and design your own stuff completely from scratch if you want to start supporting them on Patreon, or if you want to go even a step further and start printing stuff so that you're using actual models that they produce as opposed to just saying, oh, these are, they're Tyranids, but we're going to use them as these guys. Well, you can have actually these guys if you get, the STLs and download them and print them and go through all that stuff. You've probably heard of one-page rules before, but I just wanted to make it very clear that I think it's the way that is going to help wargaming in the long run. Big, huge corporations with lots and lots and lots of employees and lots of money, they do some pretty great things, don't get me wrong. I see some amazing models come out of these companies, and I see sometimes amazing rule sets. But I really kind of, as a person myself, like the indie stuff and the ability to make so much, I think, of what they're doing through one-page rules to be so consumer-focused Like they pay very close attention to the very, very, very robust Discord community that they have. There's constantly contests and just back and forth and all that kind of stuff if you're a supporter. And it's just a really cool thing. But if you just want to dip your toe and check it out, you can not only download just the simple, again, this is the international symbol for both sides of the piece of paper, but you can also download the basic book and check that out. And if you think this is really very interesting, in the back of the basic book, it tells you, well, this is what's in the fancy version of the book. And you've got a couple of different ways to get there. So I hope this explanation of why I like it will help you to think a little bit more about at least checking it out. Again, it's free, so it's going to be very easy for you to take a look at. Go over there, check it out. Take some of the models you obviously already have and build some lists and start to go. And by the way, they've got a great online web building list thing, which is in beta, but it works really, really well. And it's a lot nicer than some of the big multi-billion-dollar corporations have got in their offerings. And I'm kind of impressed by that. So if you're interested, go check it out. OnePageRules.com, very simple to find. I'll even put a link down below in the description. Speaking of being down below there in the description area, if you're interested and if this was helpful for you, click on that like. I'd appreciate it. It helps the channel. And again, just like One Page Rules, it's free. If you're interested as well, maybe a subscription would be great as well. Thanks for watching.